He's supposed to be. Fairly soon, at least. You have ideas of what you want to ask him?
I sort of
Do you really think he's going to know what we asked him, or he'll go ahead?
We'll see. Is Chief Oberon coming?
I don't think so. He's going to be in this now.
Did one of you write this textbook?
I was a contributor.
You wrote from memory!
I learned this history in school.
It's missing a lot.
You know everything, of course.
I'm not a machine full of every fact, but this book has hundreds of errors! Chapters that have completely fabricated stories, historical events that you just made up! Indecipherable.
Have any examples?
Yeah. You want me to begin somewhere? Okay, how about this? You have, oh yeah, this is great. You have barbarians where there were democracies. You have presidents where there were warlords. And you have barbarians again when there was a civilization. You've eliminated one of the world wars and added an extra religious reformation. Surely some of you were in school and this was taught correctly.
More specific, name an example.
World War I! It isn't here. The wars in Korea and Vietnam, the Armenian genocide aren't here. The political changes of the 1960s aren't in here or are edited. The civil rights movement, the US Civil War aren't here. Marriage rights. Surely there are people alive today whose grandparents told them the stories of the marriage rights movement.
You should know why the upheavals of 150 years ago were smoothed over in our texts.
I don't!
Music was a powerful force in those times, more openly and directly than any other point in history. It led a generation against a war. Its influence shifted to artistic media, films and literature, when the focus shifted from war and racial rights to gender. We found it easier to ignore the musical movements if we erased the war and strife.
The 1960s and 1970s were a peaceful continuation of the 40s and 50s. Once we settled the Great War in the historical record, civil rights have been taken care of for centuries. War comes only at needed times, when as a nation we answer, no, we sound the call for world justice. Wars were always won. That never changed.
It changed in the 1960s.
Not in our history.
Did you bring me here to teach you or listen to your rationalizations of the changes?
Tell us something that we don't know.
The book glosses over Rome and the old British Empire. It has nothing on the Latin American revolutions.
When were they?
1800s to 1830s, mostly, and then there were the overthrowings of the dictators in the 20th century.
I've heard of some of those.
I don't remember them.
I can see why you'd like to forget. It's exactly what you should be afraid of, isn't it? You know what happened in Chile? It's one of the first things I tell people when I set up somewhere new.
Why should it matter?
Do you know how they did it? They voted. People voted. They were all together. There was no getting around that.
And some people think they can vote us out of office.
That's what you're telling them.
This is why we should never.
Pinochet in Chile is just one of a dozen examples. You can't expect me to
What's
not-
another example?
I'd give you one from your book, but it might as well be blank.
That's why you're here, isn't it? What else happened in Latin America that we should be worried about?
Good question. Tell us what happened.
Go ahead. Or don't you know everything?
There was Juan Perón in Argentina. There was...
How was that one overthrown, was he?
I can't see.
You have to. You agreed to.
What did these leaders do that failed? Write it down.
He doesn't know.
I think he does. He doesn't want us to know.
We have a deal, Mnemone.
You want to keep holding public hours, right?
These sound like important details. Maybe sensitive information?
I doubt he knows the details.
He brought it up.
I need to think.
I'd very much like for you to think, Mnemone. I'd like for you to think about the history lessons that you agreed to give us, and about without which you are completely useless to us. Fletcher, you can take him away for today.
Mr. President, could I suggest something?
Just do whatever you think is necessary.
Where are we going?
The room.